My father's name was Ernest Henderson. He was the co-founder, along with my uncle, of the whole Sheraton hotel chain. It started in the 1930s, and at the time of his death, the family owned 400
Mhm.
hotels. Woohoo! We did sell the company on his death, so I'm no longer closely associated with it. But here's why I think his story, it's the rest of the story. Father, when he was 26 years old, he had just gotten engaged to my mother, who was a beautiful Southern belle. He was from Boston. And he brought his beautiful Southern belle home to meet his mother. And his mother told my mother, "Don't marry Ernest. He can never stick with anything. You'll end up poor." And mother said, "Oh, I love him. I don't care." And so they did marry. But this was what a wake up call for a young man to have his own mother tell his beloved future wife, "Don't marry because he'll never stick to anything." Well, so that was a wake up call. He decided, boy, I better do something about this. And he picked out of the, whatever was the equivalent of the yellow pages, and I think we're talking 1923 now, he found a firm that's still active today. It's called Johnson O'Connor. Johnson O'Connor was a career guidance counselor. So father comes in and goes through a whole day's worth of tests, trying to find out, why he could never stick to anything. Why his own mother had said, "You're going to end up poor." Well, Johnson O'Connor told him, "Mr. Henderson, you have the worst human relation skills I've ever come across." He said, "I think that you can make a go of it, but you've got to take into account the fact that you just don't understand other people. You don't know what makes them tick. You don't know what to say. I think because you're a smart fellow," and he was an MIT graduate, "I think that you could make a career for yourself in a laboratory where you didn't have to interact with anybody and you could go off and make smart inventions or something." Well, father heard this, and it's echoed down the generations. The story that father had the worst human relation skills that this guy had ever come across. Father could have decided, okay, that's my fate. I'll work in a laboratory. But instead, he took it as a challenge. And he told me this. He said, "Almost everything that you want in life comes through other people, through interacting with other people." And he reasoned that if I'm so bad at this, I better make it my life's work to get better at it. And he began like reading psychology books, taking courses. He did things like, he thought that if you know salesmanship, you probably have to know an awful lot about what motivates people. So he took salesmanship courses. He took public speaking courses. He later on in life made it a point to make friends with some of the top psychologists and psychiatrists in the country. He told me that the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, told me he read that cover to cover every 10 years. And at the end, this man who had the worst human relation skills that somebody had ever come across, he got into the hospitality industry, which you would think would be the absolute worst thing for somebody with that handicap. And he became so good at it that I have sometimes tried to imagine who other than a national politician interacts with more people than a host who welcomes the traveling public in 400 different hotels. I mean, he became his absolutely biggest, I think we could call it a handicap. His biggest handicap became his greatest asset, because I think by the end he knew more than certainly more than the average person would, about what makes people tick, what motivates them, what they care about. I mean, he just learned, and I thought it was so cool that he overcame a huge deficit to have really extraordinary success. And I'm ready to bet that he wouldn't have had the success in the hospitality industry if he hadn't put so much effort into learning how to get along with people.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. And it shows you how really anything is learnable if you're willing to put in the effort and find the resources and rehearse what you're learning. And that when you're motivated like that, you can make it even better. I bet that part of your father's success was also that he loved a challenge. So he brought that attitude to everything he did in his life.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been so easy to just be discouraged. Oh, I'm no good. But instead, I mean, he pretty much made up his mind he was going to excel at it.